Looks like we're good. Okay, we are going to get going. It's 6:31. I want to be respectful of your time here, and again, thank you so much, everyone who's joined us this evening. Um, we are super happy to have you here. We saw many of you filled out the survey when you registered to kind of tell us a bit about who you were and where you're coming from. Super cool to see the age range of families that are going to be here tonight on this call, starting at the early elementary school level, ranging up to that sophomore, junior year of high school. It's a really cool thing to see how invested you all are in learning about educational options for your children. And it's cool to see that mix of grade levels and school districts represented here tonight. So thank you for taking the time to do that. Mary Ellen is busy letting people in, but while we do that, we're going to introduce ourselves and then get going. So I'll start things off. I'm Grant Pepper. I am the Enrollment and Outreach Coordinator at the Delaware Career Center. This is my third school year here, so it's been an awesome 3 years so far. I get to work in more or less admissions for us, so I handle recruiting and enrollment strategy and some outreach for the district. And then we also, Mary Ellen and I are both part of our public relations team. And so we get to help promote all the cool things that happen here every day and work with our student ambassadors, who are the big group of, a really relatively small group of students who represent us out in the community. So it's a really neat place to be. Mary Ellen, you can go ahead and kind of share your story.
Okay. As Grant said, I'm Mary Ellen. I assist our public relations and recruitment team. I am also a former DACC parent. My daughter went through the cosmetology program here, and I watched her do leaps and bounds coming here. So happy to be here after her completion. I will be in the backgrounds tonight answering all of your questions. If you could use the Q&A feature for questions, it's a little easier to navigate with a large group. I'll be in the background doing the best that I can. If I know that Grant is going to cover it, I'll let you know to hang tight. He's going to cover it here shortly. So use that Q&A for questions for me. I will, like I said, be in the background with my camera off and my microphone off. So welcome.
Awesome. Thank you, Mary Ellen. Yeah, like Mary Ellen said, we're going to get through a lot of information over the next 90 minutes. So odds are good that we will address questions you might come in with. If we do not, or if we get to a point where you're like, I want to know the answer to this in the near future, like she said, please use that Q&A function. Let us know what your question is. A lot of times Mary Ellen will be able to respond to it just by typing an answer and throwing links in there for you in the chat. We also, there are some situations where she might also throw it to me and have me answer it on video. So just let us know what your questions are. We'll answer them as we go. After this meeting, just so you know, you've all been added to our Explore newsletter list. Welcome. This is our email newsletter list for interested families. And so we have families in this list who have been in this list for 5, 6, 7 years if they jumped in when they're students for elementary school students. We have we have families who jump in as sophomores, and that's their students' application year, and they're interested in learning more right away. This is our monthly free email newsletter for families who are just wanting to learn more about us and figure out ways to come and see us and view our labs and our academic spaces. So you're already added to that. After this meeting, you're going to get an automated newsletter just welcoming you to that newsletter. We want to let you know that while that email will clearly be automated, every time you respond to us in that email newsletter, it's going straight to a human. It's going straight to me or Mary Ellen or Alicia Mowry, the RPR director, our boss. So please know that when you reach back out to us, if you respond to us in that email chain, we will receive it and we will respond. But you will be added to that list. Furthermore, because you're attending a virtual session here, you'll also receive a recorded copy of this call, of this video. So you'll get to view this conversation again at your leisure if you might have missed something we covered. So we know that many parents who attend this chat will sometimes have this on in the background while they're cooking dinner or at practice or something like that. So you'll be able to go back and watch that and get answers to questions you might have that way as well. So wonderful. Okay, we will jump right in. First and foremost, just so we're familiar with using the tools up there in your toolbar, would love to just get a sense. We've got a lot of people in the group right now in this call. If you could go ahead and type in and tell us just a little bit about yourself. So, your homeschool district, your students' grade level right now. Would love to just get a general sense of where you all are coming from and your perspective before we start the call here, and then we'll kind of jump in and get going. As we talked about, we have students Westerville, okay, Westerville 9th and 10th. Students who come to us from all different parts of our community. Wonderful Olentangy Orange High School, 10th grade. As we've talked about, and we're going to talk more about, they are here to study a wide range of things, and it's always interesting for us as a team to understand where our students' interests lie, what communities they're coming from, how they first heard about us, things of that nature. So very cool, very cool. Hyatt's and Berlin, we got a lot of Worthington, Olentangy, Delaware. Wonderful. A lot of middle school families too, which is really neat to see. Okay. This is really cool. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for letting us know about that. Just want to get some perspective on where we're coming from. I think when we looked at registration data recently, it looked like every district we support was represented on this call. So super. Okay. Thank you very much. We will get going here. So we're going to start with some fast facts on us. Just so you know, and we will reiterate this at the end, this is obviously a virtual call, which will give you kind of a general idea of what we do, and we'll also be able to answer your specific questions. To come in and see our labs, which is, in my opinion, the best way you can explore DACC and really figure out, if you're a student or a family thinking about essentially pursuing learning here, right? The best way to come and see us and kind of learn about us in person, or learn about us, is to come and see us in person, I should say. Ways to do that, just so you know. So times when we are accessible, we can come in and see our labs. We have group family tours. We offer these. We're offering 6 tour dates throughout this school year. We have one coming up on Friday. We also have one in December. We have one in January, right before our application deadline hits. We have one in March. So please come and see us on a tour date. That'd be a great time to come in and get kind of an individualized DACC experience. You'll get to see our labs and meet our instructors, and a really unique opportunity there. We have our open house this year. It's December 11th, so less than 2 months away. This is a great opportunity to, again, come in and see our labs in person, kind of see the energy that exists here every day, meet our students. This is a really fun night in our building. It's December 11th from 4:30 to 7:30 this year. All of our labs will be represented there at DACC that night. We'll have food trucks. It's just a really fun night in our building. So it's really the one time all year round when our building is open to the entire community. All of our labs are open for exploring. It does not, your student does not have to be a sophomore to go for you to come to open house. Bring your elementary age students, middle school. This is truly a family event, which is a really cool thing. Our website is a great resource. I'm going to mention a lot of labs tonight. Every one of our labs has a page on our website where we've got videos, student testimonials, very specific information about the curriculum, credentials, things like that. So I would highly encourage you, if you're interested in one of our labs or multiple of our labs, check out our website and view those lab pages specifically. We also have our instructors' contact information on there. So if you have specific questions, please feel free to reach out and ask our teachers directly. Did you have a question, Marielle?
Is anyone having problems using the chat? I just got a message that the chat set is giving an error saying it's only available during the meeting. Is there a way to work around this? Do you know?
The chat.
So the chat is what we asked everyone to talk to. Questions are in the Q&A, but
okay. I'm seeing people able to access the chat.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm not sure if it would be specific to individual users or. Okay.
All right. The chat is okay. The chat's working. Okay. Thank you.
Sure
Rachel.
Thing.
Yeah. Okay. I will just have them use the Q&A. Okay. No big deal. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Another opportunity that's not listed on here, if you have a student who is a student enrolled currently in one of our 12 partner high schools, so we're talking Big Walnut, Buckeye Valley, Delaware Hayes, any of the four Olentangy high schools, either of the Worthington City high schools, all three of the Westerville City high schools. We have sophomore visit days coming up. I'll touch on this briefly. If you're a parent of a 10th grader, you've probably heard about this. This is a school sponsored field trip from that high school to the ACC. This year, it's about a month away. It's November 21st, 24th, 25th, right before Thanksgiving break. Each school has a specific time when they're coming out. So if you're the parent of a sophomore, make sure your student is registered to attend this field trip. I believe the registration deadline for this field trip is Friday, the 24th. So a great opportunity to actually come out and do hands-on learning as a student with our team here in specific labs that your student wants to see at the ACC. And then the last thing we'll mention here, your school counselor. So we have fantastic partners in our community. With our partner schools. So our counselors are our partner schools, which I just listed, and I'll show on the screen here in a second. We work hand in hand with them to find opportunities for your students. They are fantastic at what they do, and they're great resources to ask about DACC. Most of them know us very well. So feel free to talk to your homeschool counselor as well about us. Okay, we'll jump right into it. All right, so who are we and what do we do? Some fast facts on DACC. 13 of them. All right, so first and foremost, where are we located? Many of you might have seen us before. We are located on US 23 in Delaware, kind of at the Lewis Center Delaware line. If you've seen us off of 23 off the highway, this is what we look like up top. Big blue and white building, constructed in 2019. We used to have two campuses. We had a north and a south. This we consolidated and renovated and really built out that south campus back in 2019. So this building is 6 years old. We're currently in the middle of another addition project to accommodate continued demand for our labs and for the kinds of graduates we're producing here at DACC and the kind of students that are coming out of our program. So we are going to be doing some additional renovations and additions here soon, but this is where we are right now. Again, 6-year-old building. You can see some images on that lower level from the inside of our space, inside of our building. And we will show more of those images here as we go. DACC is holding students from across our region. So one of the really cool things about going to school at DACC is you aren't just learning every day alongside students from your home high school. You're also there with students from, as I mentioned earlier, 12 plus partner high schools across Delaware and northern Franklin counties. It's a really unique environment to be a part of. Most of our students, when they walk in on day one, their junior year, they're one of 25 students in their lab, and they might be one of like 2 or 3 from their home high school. So they don't really know a whole lot of people when they walk in. They're all from different parts of our community. But the really neat thing is all those students are in that lab for a reason. They all applied to be a part of that lab. So they are there by choice. And because of that, they might all be passionate about the same thing, interested in the same career field or subject area. And because of that, our students bond very quickly. Many of them very quickly make some of their best friends in high school during their time in their lab at DACC because they're all passionate about the same things. It's a really cool culture experience to be a part of. We kind of went over where our students come from. I should go back to and mention these are the 12 partner public high schools that feed into DACC. We also have students who are homeschooled, students who come from private schools. We have a big district that we support at DACC. So again, a really cool environment to be a part of. That's where our students come from. Who are our students internally? What kinds of personalities, interests they have that really allow them to thrive here. The way we think about this, and I'll move this over here. I'm not sure if you can see this remote monitor, but I'm going to try to get this out of the way. The way we think about this at the ACC, we really have 3 main kinds of students that really thrive during their time here. And the way we break this down, first and foremost, we have planners. So we do have students who will come in as juniors, and they have known for several years what they want to do when they grow up, right? We might have a student, for example, who has known since the age of 6 he wants to be a firefighter. He comes from a long line of firefighters, and he wants to get that head start on that journey here at DACC. Right. He knows we have a lab. He or she knows we have a lab that would allow that student to start that journey sooner, kind of kickstart that journey during their junior and senior year of high school. So that's why they're here. We have students who are doers. We have students who know they learn best by doing. Right. I was this way when I was in high school. I knew that I absorbed the most information. I learned the best when I was in an environment that mixed book learning with hands-on learning. I wanted to apply what I was learning in a book right away. Many of our students also know this about themselves, and if they don't yet, they will once they start learning here and kind of see the power of that kind of learning. But that's a part of why they're here, is because they know they learn best in that kind of environment, and that's the kind of environment we really take pride in here at DACC. And then we have explorers. So we have students that, unlike those planners up top, don't quite have that dream job mapped out just yet, right? And at age 15, 16, that's completely fine, right? The reason they're here is because they know that they might be interested in one day pursuing a career in a certain area, right? I know I might be interested in the medical field, right? So I'm going to go, for example, so I'm going to go to DACC, and not having a dream job identified just yet, I'm going to spend 2 years, 3 hours a day, fully immersed in the medical field. I'm going to learn in a real world learning environment with the tools and technology that the pros use in that industry. I'm going to learn from a teacher that was a part of that industry before they came here to teach me. I'm going to get in the field experiences that show me what it's actually like to be a part of that industry. And over those 2 years, I'm going to get a much clearer idea of what I like about that field, what I don't like, what I'm good at, what I'm not good at, and what direction I would have had after high school, right? For many of our students, especially those students who are pursuing college after high school, um, that's a very expensive and important decision to make, right? Which path am I taking once I graduate? Again, our students are here to do that exploring in a tuition-free environment, in many cases 10, 15, 20 minutes down the road tops, during their high school day at DACC during their junior and senior year, so that when they graduate, they have a much clearer idea of kind of what they're after, where they're headed, and kind of how they're going to get there, right? So it's a fantastic way to spend part of your school day to do that exploring and get that experience, right? So our students, just kind of walking through how they spend their days. So our students are in their DACC lab for roughly half their school day, or 3 hours of their school day. Okay, as you can see, and we'll go through our list of labs here. We offer about 30 labs for high school students. Okay, and excuse me, as you can see, these labs kind of run the gamut. When we started DACC in 1974, 51 years ago, we had 4 labs. Okay, stenography was a lab at DACC in 51 years ago, if you can believe it. So over those 51 years, we have evolved to continually, every single day, every year, strive to meet the needs of industry in our community, in our state, in our country, and also strive to meet the interests that our students in our community have proven to us that they have. So what that looks like in real time is we are continuously adding, subtracting programs to align ourselves with those interests, those industry interests, and those local community student interests, right? And how that has manifested over the last 51 years is we now have, as you can see, 32 programs for high school students. The vast majority of these are 2-year programs you take your junior and senior year. As you can see, it kind of runs the gamut. We have labs in the health, wellness, and science space, transportation and manufacturing, digital tech and IT, customer and public service. We have 3 offsite labs in our animal sciences and natural resources career neighborhood or pathway down in the lower left-hand corner. So we have our Columbus Zoo and Aquarium School housed at the Columbus Zoo and Powell, our equine science lab housed at the Delaware County Fairgrounds up in Delaware, our wildlife and resource management lab housed at Camp Lazarus right across the street from us off US 23. We have a lot to offer. We like to think that we have something for nearly every student here at DACC. Most of these programs are intentionally broad in the sense that we want to offer our students a foundation in that industry that they're interested in. And then there are opportunities, especially once they get into that second year, to really narrow down into what they're really passionate about, and kind of do a deep dive into a specific area. But this is what we offer in terms of labs here at DACC. As you can see in these images, these labs do not look like traditional classrooms, right? These spaces our students are spending half of their school day, junior and senior year, are real world learning environments. So what that means is our students, as we talked about, are getting to learn with the kinds of tools and technology and equipment that the professionals in their industry are already using or using right now, so that when they step out into industry, whether that's during their time at DACC through work-based learning, which we'll talk about, but it's basically exchanging lab time here at DACC for actual time in the field, oftentimes paid, whether it's for internships or job shadowing. During their time in high school here at the Career Center, they're ready, right? It might be after their time at DACC. It might be after graduation or after 2, 4, or more years of college. We want our students to, when they step out into the field, to be ready to go, to understand what it feels and it looks like to be a part of that industry already. And they're able to do that because they've spent 3 hours a day for 2 years straight doing that, living it and breathing it every single day at DACC on our campus. So this is how our students are spending half of their time is in their lab, right? The other half of their school day, they are spending taking the core academic classes they need to graduate. So think your math, science, English, and social studies. And they're taking these classes either at their home high school if they're a half-day student, or at DACC if you're a full-day student. So you've got those two options. Okay. Right now, just for some perspective, I'm a numbers guy. About 40% of our current student body is full day. So they're learning with us the entire day. The other 60%, give or take, is half day, meaning they're going back to their home high school to take those core courses. It is up to the student. We always tell our sophomores when we go and talk to them every fall that this is a very individualized decision. We have students who know that they might have a very unique or unique classes back at their home high school that they want to take as a junior or senior that they would only be able to take at their home high school. Maybe it's an AP course or a couple AP courses. Maybe it's a unique elective like band. I was a student when I was in high school I was in newspaper. I was the editor of the newspaper. It was a class during my school day. I was never going to miss that. Okay. So that would be an example of a student who would want to go back and take that class, but also take a lab, right? So you've got that option. Now, let's say we have everything you're looking for from a full day perspective in terms of your academics. Mary Ellen, if you can throw the link in there to our academic page on our website, you can see every class or the kinds of classes that we're offering at DACC in this part of our building. We have an entire side of our staff that is trained and dedicated to teaching in those 4 subject areas. We offer College Credit Plus in person on our campus in all 4 subject areas, which is really beneficial to our students. And so this is an option for our students. As you can see in this image, the spaces where our full day students are taking their academic classes also are not typically like traditional classrooms. We do have some traditional classrooms, as you can see there in the back, where they're doing that lecture style learning. But we also have these big spaces, as we call them, these big open learning environments where we view these as college style learning environments. When we built this building 6 years ago, that was the goal, to replicate that. And our students will tell us now that that goal has been met. They feel like they're in an advanced learning environment where they're doing their independent learning out in these big spaces, but they're also able to receive the support of their instructors out there as well. Our students, if they're full day, they're getting to learn in the academic section of their day with students from all different labs, which is a really neat thing. And again, it's a unique way to pursue education, to be a full day student. One other thing I'll mention about the full and half day dynamic: if you are full day, just so you know, you would get to gain a class period in your school day, a non-lab class period, due to the fact that you wouldn't need to take a class period to travel back to your home high school. So for our half day students, they're typically taking 3 classes that other half of their school day. They would use that 4th period to travel back and forth. If you're full day, they would be taking 4 classes. And so, our students are able to gain that class period. For many of our full day students, that's part of why they're full day at the ACC, is they want to get as much learning as possible those last 2 years. And that's a possibility through being a full day student. So just want to put this in front of you again as an option for our students to be either half or full day. From a timing standpoint, here's how it works. So as I mentioned, most of our labs are 2-year programs. You would apply as a sophomore, take it as a junior and senior. You would be in one lab, just so you know. So you would apply, and we'll get to application stuff in a second. You would apply for a first and second choice. If you were admitted, you would be admitted into one of those labs. Okay, you can only take one lab at EACC. So you'd be in lab your junior year. Let's say you apply and you get in next year as a junior. You're a DACC student. You would apply as a junior, or go to school as a junior in the morning and take your lab in the morning from 7:50 to 10:50 a.m. at DACC. In the afternoon, your junior year, you'd have those 2 options, right, for academics. So either taking those at your home high school or at DACC. Senior year, that would flip. So senior year, you'd start your day with those 2 academic options in the morning from 7:50 to 10:50, and then you would finish your day in the afternoon with your DACC lab from 11:20 to 2:20. The reason it flips in the middle like that, guys, is you would have the same career tech instructor both years. We have one instructor per lab, and we love the continuity of that our teachers really get to know our students well. They're with them for 3 hours a day for 2 years straight. It's fantastic for the mentorship, the industry mentorship that happens in our labs. That said, that lab teacher can't teach a juniors and a seniors at the same time. So juniors are going to get to learn in the morning in lab, seniors are going to get to learn in the afternoon. But that's kind of why we flip it halfway through, and that's what your day would look like as a DACC student, or your days. From a transportation standpoint, DACC, or excuse me, your home high school, if you attend one of those 12 partner high schools we talked about on the screen earlier, those partner public high schools, that's your home school would offer to bus you back and forth to and from DACC, whether you're full or half day. You may also, obviously, if you're a student, drive yourself. If you've ever driven by or building off 23 during a school day, you've likely seen a very full parking lot. We just expand our parking lot this school year to accommodate our rising student population and the number of student drivers we have. So that's obviously an option for your student as well. Your DACC lab would count for elective credits. So one of the questions we get a lot from students and parents, especially as they get in that high school age range, is how in the world am I going to take a 3-hour lab for half my school day, junior and senior year, and still be on track to graduate from a credit standpoint? Like on my transcript, how's this going to work? And basically the answer again is your lab will count for a total of 6 elective credits over 2 years. Okay. So upon completion of the lab, 3 your junior year and 3 your senior year, for a total of 6 elective credits. For perspective, in Ohio, the state requirement is 5 elective credits to graduate. So you would theoretically be knocking out that elective requirement through your DACC lab alone. Many of our labs also offer additional core course credits with the lab. So for example, in our criminal justice lab, which I work right next to right here at DACC, our students are also having the opportunity to earn a forensic science credit, for example, right? As a part of completing that lab, that would be a science credit in addition to their 6 elective credits. And so that is dependent on the lab, but many of our labs offer that as well. But at the very minimum, right, they're all worth elective credits. You would gain a counselor at DACC. So one of the really cool things about going to school here is not only the support our students get from their lab instructor, and if they're full day, the academic teachers they get to work with every day, but it's also our student services department. We have an entire staff of support professionals and counselors who make sure that our students are able to be met where they are in their learning, be challenged, and kind of help move them towards their goals, right? We know that every student has different goals when they come into the ACC, and those goals will change throughout their time here in terms of what they want to use their time here for. And our counselors and our student services department's a big part of that equation, making sure that our students feel supported, that our students are challenged to meet those goals. And these counselors and student services professionals are with our students in their labs, in the academic spaces. They know our teachers and our programs very well. So they're just a fantastic resource, I would say, for our students here at the ACC, a fantastic support system. Our students participate in extracurriculars. One of the things our sophomores will ask a lot when they are at the point where they are considering applying to a lab at DACC is, could I attend DACC and continue to stay involved in all of the things that I love being involved in back in my home high school? So whether it's sports, a club or activity, an organization, what it might be a job back in your hometown that you take part in after school, can I do both? And the answer, again, for many of our students, like 99% of our students, is yes. This includes students who come from, as far south as Worthington Kilbourne, 30 minutes south of us, as far east as Big Walnut, 30 minutes east, who are able to make this work, right? And the way they're able to make this work more often than not is through communication. So as your students get to the point, if you're a middle school parent where they're thinking about DACC here in a couple of years, or maybe if you're the parent of a sophomore in the room with us tonight, and your student is actively asking that question of themselves, it starts with communication. What our students who are able to be involved in both often do very well is they communicate. They have that conversation with that coach, that club advisor, director, employer back at their home high school or in their hometown, and they say, look, I think I'm interested in pursuing a lab at the Career Center. I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be a great way to spend part of my school day, junior or senior year. I think I gain a lot from it, but I also want to stay involved in what we're doing back here in my home high school. Can we make this work? And again, for the vast majority of our students, the answer is yes. It just takes communication. You're looking at on the slideshow here, Sammy West. Sammy was a graduate of our exercise science lab 2 years ago. She's currently furthering her study in sports medicine at Earlham College over in Indiana, and also playing sports there, which is of surprise to no one who knows her. But Sammy was one of just 10 seniors in all of Central Ohio, 12 county region, to graduate 2 years ago, 12 varsity letters. That means that she earned 4 varsity letters per season, or excuse me, 3 varsity letters per year. of high school. So fall, winter, spring, every single season that she could have earned a varsity letter in high school, she did. She was a three-sport athlete, one of the best athletes to come out of Delaware Hayes in recent years. And she was also able to be a fantastic student at the ACC, be really involved here, and get a lot out of her time here and move her towards her goals in that industry. And so, again, her advice is take the chance, but make sure to communicate, start that dialogue. It's very possible to do both those things, right? Another way our students maintain that connection in their home high school, aside from extracurriculars, and if you're a half day student, that part of your day is through graduation. So our students, we honor our students at a separate ceremony of our own during May of their senior year. They also get to walk across that graduation stage back at their home high school with all of their home high school classmates during that time when they're seniors. Our students get to compete. So one of the cool things about going to school here at DACC, it's not just the in the lab experiences or the in the field experiences, but it's also these competitive opportunities our students get. We don't have like traditional high school sports teams here at DACC, but we do have career technical student organizations, or CTSOs. If you visit our building, you will hear our students and staff use that acronym, CTSOs. Again, think of these as little teams in each one of our labs where our students get to compete against students from other career centers using the skills they're learning and earning in their lab. It's a really unique thing. Every one of our labs participates in a variation of this or in different organizations, again, using those skills. For some of our students, it's a big life-changing opportunity to, step up and stand out in your field of choice. So you're looking at Natalie Rankin right here on the screen, graduated from our digital design lab this past spring from Big Walnut High School. Natalie was a national champion 3D animator. She won a national title during May of her senior year. She placed runner-up in that category her junior year, went back and won it. She and her classmates got to go down, to Disney World and win that national championship again this past spring. Her resume was strongly enhanced by the fact that it's not only the learning she was doing inside and outside of our building, but also the fact that she was just kind of exhibiting excellence in a certain area that she was interested in. She's studying graphic design at Bowling Green State University right now, and this being a part of her resume is a big deal. So students in all of our labs get to compete at the regional, state, and if you're good enough, national level in something they're passionate about. It's a great networking opportunity. It's a leadership opportunity for our students. And as we talked about, it's an opportunity just to stand out in your field of choice and kind of build your resume. We have one-year programs. So I talked about the fact that most of these labs you're looking at today are two-year programs for juniors and seniors. We do have a handful of one-year labs. So we have programs that you would apply for as a junior, and if you get in, take as a senior. Just wanted to make you aware of these today as options that would be available to your student going into their senior year if they're not already enrolled in one of our two-year labs. And so we have a pharmacy technician lab that's offered twice during the traditional school day. Again, for seniors only, we have one morning section, one in the afternoon. And then we have two labs that are held after traditional school hours, Monday through Thursday. We have a healthcare technician, one-year CNA course, and then our nail tech lab. So these, again, will be available to your student going into their senior year if they're not already enrolled in one of our two-year programs. We do have students who will hold out for one of these one-year tracks. So, for example, our pharmacy technician lab is a great foundation in healthcare, but it's also unique in the sense that it's our only pharmacy lab. And so we will have students who might want to be pharmacists one day who will wait until their junior year to apply specifically for that lab because they know they're going to pharmacy school after high school. They want to be a licensed pharmacy tech before they graduate high school, basically, to get a foot, an advantage in that industry, kind of two steps ahead, in that field. And so they're going to be enrolled in our pharmacy tech lab for that reason. So we do have students who will wait for one of these labs heading into their senior year. But I just want to put these in front of you as options for juniors going into their senior year of high school. There's no tuition to attend DACC. Okay, we're a public high school here in Delaware County. One thing you will notice is if you go on our website and you view our specific program pages, you will see what we call lab fees. And so these are spelled out very explicitly on both the fact sheets we have for our programs and also just that web page each program has. You will see a specific dollar amount. That's what our students are paying this year to be involved or a part of that lab. These are if I were to just kind of paint a picture for how these are used. Think of these as fees you might pay for materials back at your for a class back at your home high school. Think a chef's uniform for our culinary arts lab, which is going to be specific to the student, or firefighting gear if you're in our fire service training lab. This is, again, as I said, oftentimes customized equipment that our students will use throughout their time at DACC. Our students learn in professional settings, as we talked about every single day here in our building, so they need to use professional equipment. Oftentimes it's safety related, and so that's what our students are going to pay for in their lab fees. And you can see what those costs are every single year on our website. But there's no tuition to attend DACC, right? We're a public school. That said, unlike your traditional public K-12 high school, we are a school of choice, which means you would need to apply to get in. Okay, and again, for our sophomore families that are in the house tonight, this would be theoretically your application year to one of our 2-year labs. If you are a parent of a younger student, middle school, elementary school student, the timeline I'm about to show you for application and the system for application, for the foreseeable future will remain similar year to year. We have a system in place here for how we allow sophomores to explore DACC and then apply for DACC, and our application system has been the same for 3 or 4, maybe 5 years now. And so this information would still apply likely to your student as they grow older into that sophomore year. But these dates would be specific to this year's sophomore class who'd be applying today, if that makes sense. So here's kind of the timeline for what our application process looks like this year. Okay. We are meeting tonight here on October 21st, time's flying, really at the beginning of what we view for our sophomores as kind of their application year, right? So we, over the last 2 months, myself and our student ambassadors have got to go out and meet every single sophomore enrolled in our 12 partner high schools in this county, in this district, face to face in a presentation style setting, and just kind of giving them a general overview of what DACC is. We give them a brochure on our programs and our full day offerings and kind of what it's like to be a DACC student, right? Kind of general information. On November 21st, our online application opens for this school year. The priority deadline is January 9th, as you can see. So it's about a 2-month window to apply. That's pretty typical. We'll start it typically right before Thanksgiving break. And then about a week or 2 after students return from holiday break, that priority deadline will hit. There are several opportunities to explore DACC within that window. I guess I'll back up and preface by saying it does not matter when you apply in that application window. It could be 12:01 a.m. on November 21st. It could be 11:59 p.m. on January 8th. All applications within that window, or I guess before the deadline, you could say, are weighed equally. Okay. We want to give our students, ample time to explore. It is super important to us at DACC that your student has seen our labs in person before they apply to one of our labs. It's super important to us that your student has met our teacher, you've met our students, they've asked a lot of questions, they have fully investigated whether or not this might be something they want to pursue. The goal for our team when we do outreach events and exploratory events, which I'll get to here in a second on this timeline, is to be as authentic as possible. We want our visiting students to gain an authentic experience here at DACC so that they are fully aware of what they're applying for. Because it's a big decision to make, right? Like if you get in and you decide to accept that spot, you're committing to 3 hours a day in this lab, right? Your last 2 years of high school. So it's a big decision to make. We want our students to be fully immersed in that exploratory process, to have done everything possible to get a sense of what they're getting themselves into before they apply. So that's why we have that window, and that's why you can apply at any time during that window, and your application will be weighed the same, whether it's the first minute or the last minute. The best opportunities, in my opinion, if you're a sophomore family, and Marielle, looks like you might have a question. If you do, we'll get to it in a second. Okay, go ahead. Yeah. I think you're muted
Yep.
there. Go ahead.
I'll let you finish and I'll come back. Yep.
Okay. So real quick. And again, this is great for sophomore families who are in the room, but if you're a younger family, these opportunities will likely be similar by the time your students are sophomores. Sophomore visit days is November 21st, 24th, 25th this year. Again, as I mentioned on the start of this call, this is, again, school-sponsored field trip from, if you're a student who attends one of our 12 public partner high schools, from that high school to DACC. It's optional. So the students, when we go out and talk to our sophomores in September and October every fall, we are also giving them the option to come on this field trip and sign up and give them that information on how to register as well. It's an optional field trip. And on this field trip, each school has their day where they visit, and our students will get to, during that day, they'll spend the whole school day with us, and they will get to see two labs of their choice. They will also, and actually do, by the way, like hands-on learning with our students and staff in those labs for over an hour. It's a really unique experience. They'll also get to see our full-day academic spaces and meet our staff and students in that area. We'll feed them lunch. It's a really fun day in our building. And in my opinion, if I'm a sophomore at one of those high schools, it is the best opportunity to come in and really see what we're all about, right? So that's right around the time application opens. That they're in late November, right before Thanksgiving break. We have an open house, as I mentioned, on December 11th. That is our evening open house. We have one every year. This year, again, it's on the 11th. It's from 4:30 to 7:30. You can register for that on our website, but a fantastic opportunity to come in as a family and see our labs. A lot of our sophomores, what they'll do is they will come out for sophomore visit days, see the lab themselves, do some hands-on learning, and then if they like what they see, they'll bring their family back out in December, and have their whole family be involved in this decision with them. We would highly recommend that. It's a great time to come and see us. Everyone is welcome at our December open house, and then we will have additional events. During that time, we have group family tours, as we talked about, sprinkled in those 2 months. We have our offsite open houses for our equine science lab and our wildlife lab, or excuse me, our wildlife in our zoo school lab. And then January 9th is our priority deadline. So that's kind of the window for exploration this year for our sophomores. So once that deadline hits January 9th, what's next, right? Let's say your student has applied or has explored. They have applied, or they're interested. They've applied to one of our labs. What's next? How do we select our students? Mary Ellen, do you want to get to your question?
It's not a question. We're just 55 minutes in, and I just want to make sure everybody's doing okay before we get into the nitty gritties of application. Everybody doing okay? If you're
I'm
not,
doing a
hit
lot of
no in the chat.
I'm doing a lot of talking at you, so hopefully this is
So
this is
just
helpful.
want to check in. All good? Okay. All right. I'll let Grant continue.
Thank you.
You're
Okay.
welcome.
I could talk all night about this stuff, so please stop me. Okay. So again, let's say your sophomore comes out, they explore, they like what they see, they apply. January 9th, 2026 rolls around. What's next, right? How do we select our students? Our application process in a nutshell, here's how it works. So we have about 25 seats per lab at DACC. And once that deadline hits in January, we have a team of counselors and administrative professionals who sit down and they go over every single application that comes in, right? And they're checking first and foremost for three things, three baseline factors. So number one, does the student live in our career tech planning district? So this would include students who or like if you're homeschooled, you'd be technically a part of this district, but you're homeschooled. Same deal with private schools. If you're a part of the following high school districts, okay, Big Walnut, Buckeye Valley, Delaware Hayes, Delaware City, Olentangy local schools, or Worthington local schools, Worthington city schools. Okay, those five districts would be a part of that career tech planning district. Now, if you're a student from outside that district, so maybe you're a parent from Westerville, or you're a parent from a school outside of our county, you would be in that. You would. We'll get to that in a second. You would be technically outside of that career tech planning district. You would technically be in that second lottery round. We'll talk more about that in a second. Very possible to make it in a DACC from outside that career tech planning district. But those are the schools that would be a part of what we call our CTPD. Okay, so they're checking: does a student live in that career tech planning district? Secondly, is a student on track to graduate? So are they passing their core courses through their freshman and sophomore year? The reason we need to know this is we need to know your student is going to be able to take a 3-hour lab as a junior and senior and still be able to be on track to graduate from a credit standpoint. Okay. Third, did the student meet that priority deadline? Again, this year it's January 9th, 2026. Everyone who checks all three of those boxes is automatically put into the first round of the lottery for the program they apply for. Okay. If a student checks two or fewer of those boxes, so we talked about if you're from outside that career tech planning district, right? Or maybe you're not quite on track to graduate, you've got some classes to make up, or you might not have met that deadline. If you check two or fewer of those boxes, you'd be placed in that second lottery round. Okay, we'll hold our first and second lottery rounds for each of our programs, and then in early February we start letting our families know what their status is. So if you're initially accepted, congratulations, you're in. Here's what's next. Let's say more than 25 students apply for your lab and you start on the outside looking in, you start on a wait list. Want to use this as an opportunity to say every year we have students who will start on a wait list for the program they apply for in February of their sophomore year. And by the start of school, their junior year, they're in that lab. And the reason for that is every year, inevitably, we will have students who will be initially accepted into a program at DACC. And then over those spring or summer months going into their junior year, they might decide, I'm not sure this lab is for me, and they might de-enroll, or maybe their family moves out of the district over the summer and they can no longer attend DACC. And when that happens, we start calling our families on our wait lists and offering that spot to them. Okay, it happens every year. So I say all that to say, if that's where your student starts, it might not be where they finish. That might not be the end of their story with us. But this is kind of how our enrollment process works in a nutshell. If you have questions on this, I know I'm throwing a lot at you pretty quickly. Please type them in the chat. We'd love to get to them here. I know typically our parents who are very invested and they're involved in these conversations, have a lot of great questions on applications. So please let me know. Okay. We will keep moving. And Mary Ellen, if you receive questions, please, pop in and ask them as we go. A few things that make DACC different. Okay. So as we think about the DACC experience and kind of what separates learning at DACC from a traditional high school classroom learning environment, three things really stand out. Okay. At least to us, to our students and our staff, if we really had to boil it down. First and foremost, our classrooms. So as we've talked about, these are real world learning environments. 3 hours sounds like a long time to take one class, right? I don't think I ever took a 3-hour class in high school or college. Most of our students will tell you it's the fastest part of their day. Their time in a lab is the fastest part of their day. And the reason for that is they are learning, again, in a hands-on learning environment. So in that 3-hour block, and this depends a lot on what lab you're in and what kind of unit you're studying. Most of our students will spend just a fraction of those 3 hours, behind a desk doing that more traditional classroom style learning, right? For example, you're looking at our power sports and diesel tech program in the top left. Mr. Blankley tells me they typically spend maybe 35 minutes a day in their classroom. The other 2.5 hours, they are out in their lab. They are applying what they're learning in the classroom directly in their lab in a hands-on learning environment. They're working on projects together. They're working on projects for clients, and they're working towards earning certifications and credentials in a hands-on way. As you can see, every one of our labs looks and feels different from the next, right? When I step into our construction tech lab, it feels, way different from our biotechnology lab or app development lab. And that's by design. We want our students, again, learning in spaces and places that look and feel like the real world in their industry, so that when they get there, whether it's after high school or after 2, 4, or more years of college, they are ready. Okay. One of the reasons that our industry partners, companies in our part of Ohio, seek DACC graduates out, is because of the fact that they know that our students are already exposed to that industry every single day. They know what it's like to be a part of that field, and they're ready. Okay. And so our lab spaces are a big part of that preparation process. And really, as we talked about, that exploration process for our students. The second thing we'll mention here in terms of what makes DACC different are our teachers, our instructors, the folks who lead these career tech labs. If you're a teacher at DACC, you do not come from and you lead a lab here, you don't come from a traditional teaching background. So it's a requirement here at DACC, if you're going to teach one of our labs, that you come from industry. So what that means is you had to have had a career in this profession or this field first in order to teach our students. Okay. Reasons that matters. Number one, our teachers have been there and done that, right? They understand what it takes to be a part of the industry, the profession that your student is interested in pursuing potentially. And they want to use that experience, that lived and learned experience, and pass that on to your student and their classmates so that they can succeed as well. One thing all of our lab teachers have in common is that they care deeply about their industry and they want to prepare the next generation. That's why they're here, right? So our teachers have that focus and that background. The second reason their background matters is because our teachers have spent time in industry, they have connections. Okay, they have connections out in the field in our part of Ohio, in Central Ohio, in that industry that they want to share with our students, so they can earn opportunities for work-based learning, as we talked about earlier, for internships, job shadowing while they're in high school. Real resume builders. Like 99% of high school students in our community, in our part of Ohio, do not get to do the things in the field that our students get to do during their school day. It's just not available to them. It's not accessible. It's not possible. The reason it's possible for our students at the ACC in large part is because of our teachers. They have these connections, and they know, because they're with our students for 3 hours a day, and they've got 20, 25 students a lab. They get to know our students really well, and they know where their interests lie, what they're good at, what kinds of workplaces and companies these students might thrive in. And so they're able to make those connections and introduce our students to industry partners and allow them, again, to really build their resumes during their time here through time in the field. As you can see, we're looking at Michael Steiner here on the screen. This is a great example. Chef Steiner is a great example of one of our instructors who is really using his time in industry to benefit his students now. He was actually a 2011 graduate of the program. He now leads culinary arts here at DACC. He went to Buckeye Valley High School. After high school, he spent 4 more years furthering his culinary education in Pittsburgh. He launched his career in the industry in that city. He moved back in 2015 to Central Ohio to work for Cameron Mitchell. He ended up climbing the ladder within CMR, Cameron Mitchell Restaurants, finished as the executive chef at Capsay Diner down in Grandview, if you've ever been. That was Michael's restaurant. He had a great experience there. He has a great current relationship with Mr. Mitchell and his team, a great industry partner of ours, and he's used that experience. He returned here, by the way, 2 years ago to lead the program he came up through. And he's using that experience to benefit our students, to provide them with connections, to connect them to additional work-based learning opportunities, internships. So this is a prime example. All of our teachers and every one of our labs have a background that looks something like this in their industry. And it's hugely beneficial to our students, right? You just kind of having an industry mentor like this in their corner during their last 2 years of high school as they prepare for what's next, right? The third thing we'll talk about in terms of what makes the ACC different are credentials, okay? So we talked about the lab spaces, the teachers. Credentials, as I mentioned earlier, these are industry-recognized certifications that show proficiency. So students in all 30 of our labs have the opportunity to earn credentials in their industry during their time at EACC. And these are really, when I say proficiency, it's proficiency either in a actual hands-on industry skill or proficiency in terms of your knowledge in a subject area. It looks different for every lab. But our students, again, all 30 of our labs have the opportunity to earn these while they're at DACC, much like those in-the-field experiences our students get through their instructors. These credentials are a 1% opportunity for students in our community. In 99% of students in this community in Delaware County and Northern Franklin County are not getting the opportunity to earn the credentials our students get to earn while they're in high school. They just aren't. It's a very rare opportunity our students have. Most students have to wait till they graduate high school to start this process. It then becomes very expensive, very time consuming. Ours, again, get that head start when they're 16, 17, 18 years old, so that when they graduate, they not only have the in-lab experience and the in-the-field experience, but they also have all these credentials that most students don't have until 2, 3, 4 years later. So they're really far ahead of the game. Their resumes are fantastic, and if they're applying to a competitive college program after high school, their resume, their application becomes very strong and moves to the top of the stack. If they're applying to go straight to work after high school, the kind of resume they have built through their credentials and their experiences makes it an extremely strong competitive candidate for that job. So our credentials that our students are earning really matter, right? You're looking at Talia Sanchez here. Talia was actually our commencement speaker last year at our graduation ceremony. Talia is from Thomas. She was in our dental assisting lab, graduated last year. She's currently on the she's in Ohio State University's College of Dentistry, an undergraduate right now, working to eventually one day become a dentist. That's her goal. She got her start at DACC. She graduated 5 months ago with 4 industry recognized credentials, just to give you a snapshot of what this looks like in one of our labs. Her CPR and first aid credential, her OSHA 10-hour certification, her registered dental assistant credential. That's a big one. She's going to be able to use this and work as an RDA during her time in dental school to help pay her way through dental school and also accelerate her resume. Fantastic resume builder right there, and her ODH radiographer license. And so, and that's another credential which she will be able to use while she's in college and afterwards to again bolster that resume and unlock opportunities for her. Just to give you some perspective on Talia. Her time at the ACC, because she was able to earn these credentials during her time here, she was able to have work-based learning experiences while she was here as well. She worked her senior year for DeMichelangelo Family Dentistry over in Westerville. She worked 40 hours a week paid. She worked Monday through Thursday and then came to the ACC to catch up with her instructor and do some learning every Friday. She was promoted to lead assistant in that office her senior year as a high school student. So this is an example, again, of a student who really took full advantage of her time at DACC. Her application when she applied to pre-dental at Ohio State was extremely strong, competitive, and we know she's going to do great things after her time at OSU. But again, this is an example of someone who is plan on going to 4 more years of college and is using their time at DACC to get ahead, separate herself, and really accelerate that journey. As one of our ambassadors last year, she was very involved in kind of speaking about DACC. She again gave our commencement address in May. One of the things that she told us afterwards, is she said her time at DACC shaped not only her future but who she is today. It was not just the credentials and the in the field experiences. It was also the soft skills. It was a lot of what our students are learning here is also it's the all of the skills around the technical knowledge, the interpersonal communication skills, the leadership skills. She was also clearly separating herself in those areas during her time at DACC, and so we really focus on developing, growing the whole student, making sure we're developing leaders of tomorrow. And Talia is a great example of that. Adam Warnicki is another example of this kind of student that really got the most out of their time at DACC. Adam's from Liberty. He was in our Power Sports and Diesel Tech program and graduated 5 months ago last spring as a part of, by the way, our largest graduating class ever. We completed 600. We had 602 seniors complete their time at DACC and graduate last May. Our biggest class to date, over 51 years. Adam was one of those students. Fun fact about Adam: he was also the starting, I believe, left guard on the Liberty football team that won the state title this past fall. So he was a great example of a student who could be very invested as home high school, win a state title in football in D1, and then also get a ton out of his time at the ACC. Adam graduated in May with 6 industry recognized credentials from his lab. He had a lot of work-based learning experience racked up as well. He's a student who got to go work out in the field in Columbus during his time as a senior during spring semester of his senior year. He was also out 3-4 days a week getting paid to get in the field experience during his lab time. And he opted to go to Wyotech after high school. So he's in Wyoming right now, Laramie, Wyoming, furthering his diesel technology education. He wants to work as a diesel tech one day, work with big vehicles. And he got his start here. And one of the things Adam said about his time at DACC was it was an amazing way for him to prepare for his future. It offered hands-on experience and on-the-job experience that he was really able to benefit from. So when he applied to Wyotech to further that diesel education after college, his application, his resume was very competitive through the time that he had at the ACC. We understand, right, that all this might sound great in terms of the labs and the teachers and the credentials. We also understand that choosing to go to a place like DACC is making a big leap, right? For our students, is oftentimes a big step outside their comfort zone. It's a sacrifice to make, to choose to go from a place in their home high school, which they're very familiar with, to a brand new place, down the road, separate campus, for 3 hours for half their school day, junior and senior year, with new staff and new peers. It's a whole new environment. And we understand that many of our students will tell us that is a nerve-wracking thing going into their junior year, especially those first couple of days. It's all new people from all different parts of our community. That said, our students will also tell you that, again, as we talked about, they very quickly made some of their best friends during their time at DAC. When our seniors, by the time they get to their senior year, when they're about to graduate, our students, oftentimes describe their lab as their family. When Marielle and I walk into senior labs, we feel like we're interrupting a family conversation. It gives me chills to talk about it because it's true. Our students are really a part of something special here because they're learning every day alongside students like themselves who have similar interests and career goals, maybe, and passions, and they're making all these new friends who all have that same vision in mind. It's a really cool thing to be a part of. And so, yes, it's a nerve-wracking experience at first, but they're making some of their best friends ultimately over their time here at DACC. And along the way, they're also getting 2 steps ahead towards their future. We have a great mix of students who are looking to go to 2, 4, or more years of college after high school, and this is their way of preparing for that journey and kind of getting a head start towards that journey and their career goals. We have students that want to go straight to work, and they know that they are going to get that resume built up during their 2 years at DACC to be able to do that and do very well right out of high school with that resume. So we have students that take all different kinds of paths after they leave the ACC, and they're able to be ahead in whatever that path is because of their time here. And again, along the way, they're making some of their best friends at DACC, and they're creating some of their best memories in high school during their lab time. So it's a really cool community to be a part of, as you can kind of see our students testify that here in these slides. So I want to use this time. We have 30 minutes left here, and this is normally when we would open things up, and be able to answer questions if you have them. So Mary Ellen, I'm not sure if you're collecting questions or if you're probably answering them on the spot. Are there questions that
There
we've gotten?
there haven't been a whole lot of questions. I have
Okay,
one person who asked about do we have any 2-year programs for special needs? I thought that might be something we could talk about
sure,
instead of in the chat. If you
yeah,
do have questions, go ahead and throw those actually in the chat, and we can answer them on the spot. So if you don't have to use the Q&A, use the chat. If you can't use the chat, throw them in Q&A,
yeah.
and I'll toss them out to Grant. Okay.
Yeah, and if you
Okay.
have like specific programs you want to hear about too, I can share a little bit about certain programs. It'd be a good time to do that too. We've got about 30 minutes here left in the
Yep.
conversation. So,
There was a
any questions you
welding.
might have?
There was a
Welding.
welding. In the welcome, they said they were
Yep.
interested in hearing about welding. So
Super. I've got a few written down too that we had
okay.
indicate interest in the survey as well. So awesome. So the 2-year programs for students with special needs. We have a hospitality lab here at DACC, and it's a counselor recommended program. So our hospitality team, we have 4 instructors that are a part of leading that lab, and our instructors in that lab work really closely with our special education departments at our partner high schools, to identify students that would really do great in this lab. In this lab, there's a big focus on workplace readiness. Our students are going out and they're having great work-based learning experiences in the field at Capri Gardens, at Bob Evans, at Ohio Wesleyan. They are able to develop those soft skills to gain those workplace experiences right away in high school, and start building connections as well. And they're also doing some of that learning in our building at DACC. So they get to learn from a great team in that lab. And it's a great opportunity again for our students to kind of develop those skills early on, to keep working on that, and have honestly great experiences as part of their high school career. A lot of our students, you go out and visit our students who are part of these labs, and they're on the workplace, they're in their workplace, I should say. And these students, when they're in that workplace, are a part of the family and that organization, that company. You go to Capri Gardens, and you see our students in our hospitality lab working out there every day. The residents there love our students, and they're highly respected. Their work is highly valued, and again, they're learning all of those skills that are great for stepping straight out into industry. As independent adult after high school. And so it's a fantastic lab, and that's really, again, it's a counselor recommended lab, and it's one that our instructors work with our partner counselors on. But we would highly encourage you, if you're interested, if that sounds like something your student would want to pursue, we'd love to have y'all out. We have our hospitality lab is on display during all of our group family tour days. The student would also be able to, if they're a sophomore, register for sophomore visit days and spend time in that lab on that day with their school. We'll also have it here on open house night. So a great lab, and we'll have a lot of opportunities to see that lab this fall. Yeah.
Okay, next question. I don't know if you and I are even able to answer this.
Oh
How
boy.
do you I think this is a counselor question, but you
Sure.
you might know. How do you handle students who need to pass OST tests for graduation requirements?
Mm.
Do they still take those at their home high school? I don't know the answer to that. Do you?
That would be I might know the answer, but I think a better path here would be to ask your home high school counselor about this.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is that sometimes this information changes year to year, and I don't want to give you the wrong information. That would be a specific question to ask your high school counselor who you work with back at your home high school. You're also welcome to reach out to our student services team, and they'd probably be able to give you a more defined answer. I apologize. I just don't want to give you the wrong information.
That's how I feel.
Um,
I will also,
yeah,
I took your name, the one who asked, I took your name down. I have your email address. I can ask our student services, our counselors, for more information and give you an emailed answer if that's okay.
thank you,
Um,
Marielle.
yep, you're welcome. Here's the next question. Can we talk a little bit about cosmetology? The question is, where do I find the full course list for cosmetology?
Yes.
Wasn't able to find much detail on the website. Can we talk a little bit about cos?
Okay. Sure. Yeah. So our cosmetology lab, and in terms of course list, I guess I'm wondering, would this be referencing the credits you would earn as a part of cosmetology? More likely than not. I'm assuming that's the question here, or
Great question.
so because
It's
Mary
it
Ellen,
should,
if I'm remembering correctly, so there is a anatomy credit that's a part of
Mhm.
this lab. Um,
I'm pulling that up now.
yeah.
I think there
So
is a chemistry yes, I'm pulling it up now because even though my daughter is a completer for cosmetology, I don't have everything memorized.
yeah,
Um,
I have bits and pieces.
I
Just
do
as
too.
Mary Ellen gets that ready, our cause program in general, uh, you'll be working towards your state board certification in hair, skin, and nails your senior year. So that is a 2-year process for students who do not get to earn that state board or pass that state board test in high school through a program like cosmetology at DACC. You'd be paying, approximately $10,000 after high school to take and earn that license. Our students get to earn that, like DACC will pay for that. Our students get to earn that tuition free during their time in that program. We have students in that lab who will come in with a variety of different reasons for being there. So we have students that might come in and they want to open their own salon one day, and this is their start in that journey. We also have students who might come in and be interested in pursuing another career pathway through that might require a college degree, and they might know that they're also interested in hair, skin, and nails. And so what they're going to do is they're going to earn that state board certification during their time at DACC so that they can work their way through college and something they're passionate about while also going to college for something else, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
so there are a lot of different reasons our students apply that lab. It's taught by a couple fantastic teachers who have history in the industry. Their lab looks like a salon, so they're doing some of that science learning in the lecture style classroom part of their lab, and then they're applying it in a hands-on way right in the salon part. Mary Ellen, did you have an answer on the earlier
I
question?
do.
Yeah,
So you have to take your academics here at
true.
DACC. The science classes that our academics offers will go towards your students' 1,500 hours that they need to earn um,
For their state
for
board.
the, for their to sit for their state board,
Yeah.
and their chemistry and anatomy will be relevant to cosmetology. So to be like the chemistry will be like hair color, and anatomy will be like your skin. Hopefully that answers your question.
And
Um,
just for clarity on that, Mary Ellen, cosmetology is our only lab where you would need to be full day.
yes.
Again, we have about 30 labs, and it's because of those very specific science credits that are directly related to your lab and your state board requirements. That's why you would need to be full day at DACC. The rest of our labs, again, you'd have that option to be full or half day. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Mary Ellen.
No, I was just going to say if you go to the cosmetology page and click on the fact sheet, it gives you some more eligibility requirements and what the credits are available if you want a little bit more information. But I shouldn't say the industry credential that is earned for that is you sit for your state boards and become a cosmetologist, like Grant said, in skin, hair, and nails.
And it's a big one. There's a
It's a big
reason that
one.
our
It's a
students
big
work
one.
for
Yeah.
2 years towards that. Yeah, it's a big
And
test,
it's,
but
yeah.
yeah.
Yep. Hopefully that answered your question. Next question is, can we talk about the exercise science and sports medicine
Yep.
and construction technology program? What does the lab look like for students and the experience they will gain? So it's two questions in one. So exercise science and
Yeah.
technology,
Yeah.
and then construction. What does it look like and what will they gain?
Yeah. I can go a little bit into each of those. Again, as we talked about, when you come out and visit us, you'll really see it and get immersed in it. Our web pages for each of these labs are going to have very specific like curriculum information, which changes from year to year. I can speak generally about these labs. So our exercise science and sports medicine lab, for example, this lab is really geared towards students. A lot of our students in this lab will have interests in maybe becoming a athletic trainer one day, maybe a physical therapist, an occupational therapist. They might have had a career or having a career in athletics, which will drive them towards an interest in this area. These are students who are interested in anatomy. They're interested in kind of the human sciences. Their lab, just so you get an understanding of this, kind of looks like half classroom, half gym, or like a collegiate level workout space where they're getting to apply that science learning, that anatomy learning in a hands-on way. We have students from a work-based learning standpoint in this lab who will be able to go out and do work-based learning with actual athletic trainers during their time in high school to earn those hours and to get those resume builder experiences. We have students that might want to go work in a clinical setting. That's also possible during work-based learning. So a lot of students coming out of that lab again that are interested in sports medicine, right?
Mhm.
But we also have students who are interested in the occupational therapy side of things as well. It's a great prep for that.
Mhm.
And so our students, in that lab again are typically interested in those areas. They might be looking to go to college after this to pursue a degree in one of those areas. But along the way, because of their time at DACC, they're able to continue to do work in that industry during their time in college to really beef up their resume and gain in the field experiences. So that's exercise science and sports med. Our second lab was construction tech, right, Mary Ellen? So construction technology. This lab is taught by Mr. Schwinn, who has his own home building business. He comes directly from industry, like all of our instructors. If you step into this lab, which is actually right next door to exercise science, which is it's interesting you brought those two up. This looks a whole lot different. So this lab looks like half classroom and half basically a home building site. So we have students who are working on building sheds. They're working on building tiny homes. They are working on essentially various projects for community partners. Last year, might be last year or 2 years ago, our wildlife and resource management lab needed a new shed out on their site at Camp Lazarus. Our construction students were the ones who built them that shed very quickly. So our students in that lab are getting a foundation in that industry. We have a lot of students who might want to go straight into like residential home building. We have students that might want to go into construction management, which would require a college degree, and so they would be going to college after this to further that education. We have students that might want to go into commercial construction. We had a senior a couple of years ago from Westerville South who his work-based learning his senior year. By the time he was in his second semester senior year, he was working 40 hours a week as well, going to school here at DACC 1 day a week, and he was working on commercial job sites in the Polaris area. And that was his goal, was to get into construction management commercially, and he's well on his way to doing that now. And then we have students that want to get into more, of the electrical side of things, maybe towards an HVAC route, and they're also getting a good foundation in that lab here. So you get a foundation in a lot of different things. That's a pretty common theme with all of our labs. You're getting a taste of the industry and all the different parts of that industry, so that you can kind of narrow down and figure out what you're really passionate about. I'll touch on welding here too, Mary Ellen.
Okay.
I know you mentioned that one. I also had written
Yep.
that one down as a survey answer.
Mhm.
Welding and sheet metal fabrication, which is, I believe, right next door construction. So we're just making our way down the west side of the building here. Yeah. Our welding lab, very different from welding, very different from exercise science. Half classroom, really maybe a fourth or fifth classroom, and then most of that area looks like a welding shop. We have 25 students, like I said, in that lab. They each have their own welding booth. One of the first projects that they do in that lab is they weld their own stools to sit in while they work, and within their booth. This is a lab where again they're spending a fraction of their time in doing that book learning in the classroom, maybe 30 minutes a day or so. Most of it's very hands-on. They're out, they're learning, they're working with their hands, they're in the lab space. We have students that will go straight to work after this lab. I would say in our construction lab and our welding lab, we probably have a pretty good split of students who are either going to college or going straight to work. We have a lot of students who want to get right into industry with their credentials, and they're able to do that. One of our ambassadors from welding last year took her time at DACC and her credentials, and she's now working for her family's welding business, right? So that's certainly possible. We also have students who might be interested in further welding knowledge at like a Hobart College, for example, where our instructor, who's actually a DACC grad, went to further his education before going straight into industry as a welder. We have students that might want to get into engineering. Interestingly enough, we have students who might want to go towards college for a career in engineering. They know that they're going to get that theory based learning, that book learning during their time in college. And so they figure it'd be great to have the hands-on application side of it, application-based knowledge before I get there, so I can be a really well-rounded learner, well-rounded job prospect or employee one day. So they're going to get their hands-on learning at DACC, the application-based learning in a welding lab, and then they're going to go to college to get their engineering degree. So it's a very interesting pathway there too. And so our students will enter that program with a variety of goals and outcomes. But you're learning TIG welding, you're learning TIG welding, MIG welding, and stick welding. You're earning a variety of credentials in those areas. You're also spending a lot of time, especially early on, working towards safety credentials. That's a big part of all of our labs, and especially in a lab like welding, where our students are safely and productively playing with fire every day, that they need to be able to do it in a safe way on our campus. And so we're working towards those credentials early on to make sure they can do that in a safe way in our building. But I'll conclude with this fantastic lab. The teacher in that lab is also a DACC alum, Mr. Andres. He's also from Buckeye Valley. He graduated from that lab in 2013, went to Hobart, went to industry, and now he's back to inspire the next generation. So that's welding. Yeah. Did you have another one?
All right. Yep, I have a couple.
Yeah.
And this is, are there any programs that provide overlapping skills, such as maybe my student doesn't get into welding, but there is another program that might be similar or also offer other skills?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And welding, conveniently enough, is a great example of that. So we have a power sports and diesel technology lab right down the hall from welding that involves a lot of welding. So we will have students who will apply, like first choice might be welding, second choice might be power sports, or vice versa. And the reason they're doing that is they know, because they visited our power sports lab, that there is a heavy welding component to what they do in that lab. Yes, they're working with small engines, but they're also working on how to repair these vehicles, and welding is a big part of that. And so, we have students that will want to go into a field like welding, and then power sports might be a way to prepare for that. And so that's a good example of that. We have students who, like, let's take our digital tech and IT labs for example. We have students who are like, we have two labs right next to each other: our cybersecurity lab and our app development and programming lab, that have a lot of crossover. These are students who are interested in computers. They are interested in back-end programming. They're interested in software engineering, computer development, computer science. And so a lot of crossover and interest with those two labs. We have students that will often look at those two labs, and that might be a first or second choice decision there, depending on which one they like more. So if you look at our building, like if you were to slice our building open from the roof, we have kind of neighborhoods, career neighborhoods, where like-minded labs are situated next to each other. Part of the reason we do this is organizationally it makes sense, but also we have a lot of collaboration between our labs. Our students will work together. But you'll notice that, like, if you visit DACC, our healthcare technician lab and our health technology and nursing lab are right next to each other, and they're almost identical. They have minor differences in credentials. Medical assisting, very similar. If you look at, again, our high bay labs, our industrial manufacturing and transportation labs, we talked about welding and power sports. Upstairs in our digital tech and IT, cyber and app development. So the answer in short is yes, we have a lot of crossover. If you look in our career neighborhoods, you can see bits and pieces of that. So we have students that, what the really important thing I should say about exploring our labs is really figuring out what the difference is between those labs and figuring out where it might be the best fit for you. But yes, there is a lot of crossover in some of these labs. Yeah.
Next one. How often do you update curriculum to adjust to emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence and machine learning?
Yeah, we update curriculum every year. So we are we talked about where we started 51 years ago with 4 labs, and sonography and horseshoeing was a lab here at the ACC. We change at the pace of industry, and we also change, as I talked about, the pace of the interests our students show us every single day in our community and what they're looking to pursue. And what that means is we are extremely nimble. When we are looking at things like adding on, for example, to our building, which we're going to be doing here in the next couple of years, we are fully aware that it is our responsibility as the career center in Delaware County to respond to the needs of industry, new technology, emerging technology like AI, and new industries around our part of Ohio, and make sure that everything we do is in line with preparing our students to be a part of that space. And so, you look at our expansion project we're currently undergoing. These lab spaces are intentionally very nimble. We want to build spaces that are flexible, so that when demand changes, when new information emerges, we can also change what we do and how we do it to align with that. So this is a very long-winded way of saying yes. Often, our teachers, because of their time in industry and their investment in the industry, they are very aware of the way things are changing with technology. And first and foremost, they are the ones, along with our principals and our staff, who are looking to, like, every year tweak things, add things, subtract things to make sure our students are getting the very best there is from an industry standard standpoint, so that when they go out, they're ready. Again, it's not just a point of pride for us to make sure our students are ready. It's also necessary because in order to maintain those business partnerships we have with our industry partners, they need to know our students are learning the most updated things. They're learning with the kinds of technology that are up to date, or else they're not going to be able to work with our students, and our students won't be students they're seeking for these positions. And so we are also held accountable to industry every day in our school. And so again, that's a long way of answering this, but it's something we focus on every single day. Yes.
We have an advisory board
Mhm.
that is made up of students, parents, alumni, and business partners. And they meet a couple of times a year to go over what the needs are in industry. So that is another tool that we have here at DACC.
Yeah.
Next question. How many how many applicants do you generally get for each lab?
Sure.
Example, if you only accept 25 students for each.
Yeah. Um, this is hard to answer because I don't want to give you something and mislead you and make you think this is the way it is every year in every lab. It really does depend on the year and depends on the lab. And so, for example, we we have some labs where one year we might get 28, 29 applicants for 25 seats, right? The next year, and this would be dependent on that class of students coming through, that number might go up to 40 or 50. It really depends on that class of students, what they're interested in, So that's not a great answer. It changes a lot. I will say this. We, you can see in the way we have responded to that student interest in our community and the way we've shifted what we offer in our building around, you can kind of see certain trends, right? So, for example, we are in the process when we do this addition project. One of the areas that we are looking to grow a little bit is in that medical area of our building. We have noticed over time that we have had an increasing amount of interest from students in our community in the healthcare field, and we know that. And it is backed up by years and years of data. And so we are going to invest in that part of our building and make sure to grow those course offerings to align with our students' interests and industry interests. So that for example is something where we are very careful about not growing too quickly in certain areas and making sure we have sustained growth and interest over a period of time before we add in certain areas. We can see, obviously, because of that kind of expansion, it proves there is high interest in those areas, and it also results from the fact that we do have wait lists in those programs, right? We have a big student interest in those areas. Digital design, for example, used to have one lab. It used to be one section, 25 seats. Is now our only lab where there are 75 seats. We have 3 teachers in that lab, and the reason it grew over the last 10 years to now be 3 sections, or to be the size it is because of student interest. And so it was a calculated decision we made to expand that program to 3 times the normal size of a lab at DACC to respond to that. So every year is different. Every class is different. When we see sustained demand over a period of time, we adapt to it, and you can see that in certain areas of our building where we have larger areas of course offerings. But it's very hard to pinpoint, like, this year this is going to be a lab that is going to have a major wait list versus a lab that won't. It's very dependent on the year. I know that's not the perfect answer, but that's kind of how we think about that stuff. And I'm careful not to tell you one thing or the other, and then that influence how you explore, apply. We always tell our students, like, if you're interested in that lab, give yourself a chance and apply for it. Because really, what all of our students, I guess I'll use this. I'm going on a tangent. All of our students, when they apply to ACC, there are no prerequisites to apply here. You
Right.
don't if you're applying for digital design, you never needed to have handled a camera before, right? Or have worked with Photoshop or Adobe InDesign. What we require all of our students is that they're passionate about this stuff. We really ask again that you explore, that you're interested deeply. If you are, there's no better place to be. You're here for three
Yep.
hours a day learning about something you really care about. That is a fantastic way to learn. Um,
Mhm.
but again, there's no prerequisites. So we have students that will come in with no experience in their particular field of interest, and our job is to challenge those students to meet their goals, just like the students who come in with a lot of experience in that field, and they're already really involved in it. Our obligation is to challenge those students to meet their goals as well.
Yep.
So the one thing we do require is that passion, that interest.
Yep. So we have 5 minutes left, and I have two
Yeah.
questions.
Okay.
One, can you share your thoughts on the pros and cons of DACC compared to CCP? This
Sure.
parent is trying to get a sense of which might be better fit for their student. If you're
Yeah.
able to weigh on that.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, I kind of touched on this earlier. A lot of our students are doing both. So we have students whether it's at DACC, if they're a full day student, they're doing CCP with us, and also their lab. If they're a half day student, that student might be doing CCP, virtually through Columbus State or in person at Columbus State, depending on the class,
Mhm.
or maybe through their home high school. We have students that do both. It is commonly thought of that it's an either or. Again, we have a lot of students that are taking College Credit Plus and also learning at the ACC. We have several labs where College Credit Plus is a part of that lab. So, like our biotechnology lab, for example, they're taking two CCP courses. The seniors are this year alone as a part of their time in that lab. They're taking an Intro to Biotechnology College Credit Plus course through Columbus State, which is taught by our biotech teacher, Mr. Dyer, and they're also teaching it. They're also learning an organic chemistry, or they're taking organic chemistry College Credit Plus during their second semester senior year. That's a part of their lab. So I say all that to say, whether it's CCP, whether it's AP, we have students that will do both all the time.
Mhm.
So what we always recommend our families and our students is sit down with your family and maybe your high school counselor, the folks that are going to help you put your schedule together and figure out, like, when I'm not in a lab, that other half of my school day, what classes can I be taking, whether it's at DACC or my home high school or Columbus State, or another College Credit Plus outlet, that would set me apart and help accelerate my journey, right? Help get me to where I want to be when I graduate. Again, our students are oftentimes able to do both those things. It's not a problem. Well, I was just talking to one of our dental students the other day, Iran from Berlin. He's enrolled in 4 AP classes right now back at Berlin in the morning, and then he comes here for dental assisting in the afternoon. So it is completely up to your student how they want to craft their
Mhm.
schedule. But we have students that are they're very able to do both CCP and their lab. I hope that makes sense. That's kind of how our students. It's very individualized and specific to the student.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the last question, would you explain which ro would you please explain which robotic learning lab DACC offers? Is it related to any specific engineering STEM or generic to all?
Yeah, great question. So our engineering robotics automation design lab, you can see Joel here was a graduate of that lab last year. So that lab, we have two, just to give you some background, we have two engineering labs. So you'll see engineering technician and then our robotics lab on that list. Our engineering labs are in this, they're right next to each other in the same corner of our building. And kind of the way we think about engineering is it as more of like a spectrum, right? So if you look at engineering on a spectrum, there is on one side the very application based side of engineering. You're talking largely in a manufacturing setting. You're talking systems. On the other side, it's very theory based. You're talking like engineering design, product design. So our students in our two programs, if you look at our engineering technician lab, the majority of our students in that lab are more interested in the application side of engineering, that first part. So they might be more interested in either going straight into industry in a manufacturing setting, working with systems, oftentimes electrical, but sometimes mechanical kind of background. Or they might be looking to go into college and pursue more of a mechanical engineering degree, sometimes electrical. But you've got more of a focus in that lab on being able to go straight into the industry if you want to, versus our engineering robotics automation design lab is more of that theory based kind of engineering. So a larger share of our students in that lab are looking to go into school for electrical engineering in college or mechanical engineering engineering. We have students. We had a student from that lab from ONTANG Berlin last year who's studying aerospace engineering, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
at Ohio State, right? So, it is a foundation in engineering, but I will say electrical engineering it has been a predominant focus for our students in both of those labs. But if you're talking a college route, our robotics lab in particular, electrical engineering has been common to see. We have some mechanical engineering interest in that lab and also in our engineering tech lab as well. I will say civil engineering, there's less of an emphasis on that and the path in that pathway. So we don't see as many students going the civil route. They're largely interested in electrical or mechanical, or a tertiary option related to one of those two. Hopefully that makes sense. But like I said, engineering on a spectrum, the theory side, the application side, the engineering tech lab is more geared towards that application side, and our robotics lab is more geared towards the theory side. Hopefully that works. Okay.
That's all our questions.
So our questions. Okay. I wrote down notes from our survey on which labs we wanted to talk about. I think we got to every one of those labs. So I'm proud of that because we were going pretty fast there. So one last thing before we close here, as we talked about additional opportunities to explore the ACC. If anything we talked about tonight or any of the labs you saw on the screen sound interesting, we'd love to have you out in person. Like I said, we part of Mariella and I, what we do every day, actually really most of what we do every day is kind of setting up these opportunities for families to come out and see us. We love having people in our building. It is our favorite part of being a part of this family at the ACC is having families and students of all ages to come and see our labs. And so great ways to do that coming up. Again, we have family tours 6 times throughout the school year. They're on Fridays, either once a month or every other month. We have a web page on our website with all those dates and registration links.
And I put the link in the chat. So
thank you,
they have
Marielle.
the link for the chat. You're welcome.
Wonderful. Our open house is coming up on December 11th. That's less than 2 months away. It's a Thursday night. Great night in our building. All are welcome to attend that. We have students from, as young as second or third grade in the building on that night, all the way up to high school students with their families. All of our labs will be open on that night to see. Again, sophomore visit
in the chat. Sorry.
Wonderful.
Link
Thank you.
also.
Nope.
Yep.
No, that's great. Please register for that as well if you're interested, just so we get a rough head count there. It's free. We talked about sophomore visit days. If you're the parent of a sophomore, make sure they've signed up for that field trip. Their hard deadline to register for that field trip is this Friday, the 24th. So make sure they are all ready to go with their home high school to go on that field trip. And then we talked about our website. This, in my opinion, our program pages are the best, most current, most in-depth resource to getting those specific curriculum questions answered. Our credentials are all listed on there, and you can watch videos from our labs just to kind of see what it's like as well. So great resource for you as well. If you have specific questions for us, either me or Marielle, that we can answer individually for you, please reach out to us. We are a big and growing school. But we love talking one-on-one with families about their students' interests and our labs and kind of just that career exploration process. And so, whether your student's an elementary, middle school, high school student, please reach out to us individually and touch base with us just so we get an understanding of, what we might be able to connect you with, resources or opportunities, so you can come in and work with us and learn with us. Marielle, did you have anything you wanted to add here? I know it's about 8. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. Anything you wanted to add here before we conclude tonight?
Nope. I just added our email addresses.
Thank you.
To the chat. So if anyone needs us, they're in there.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you all for attending this. I know this is time out of your night when we're all super busy. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your night to come and meet us virtually and hear about us and ask questions. You had great questions and hopefully get some of those answered. We would love to see you in person. We'll hope to do that soon. In the meantime, thank you. Like I said, you will get a recording of this in your email, so you can go back and refer to it as you wish. You will also get an introductory email to our Explorer newsletter list following this webinar. So we are prepared to log off. Again, thank you so much. We hope you have a great evening, and we will hope to see you at DACC soon. Thank you.
Thank you.